I can't forget where I was 2 years ago in a jail cell with my third DUI, wanting to actually kill myself.
You're becoming like an adult human, and it's the cutest thing in the world because you're 20 years old and you have no rights being an adult at this point.
I'm excited and I'm so proud of you.
I'm very proud of you, and it's an honor to be a part of your recovery journey.
Oh my God. Five, four, three, two,
one.
You too. Yeah! Let's go! Oh my God, I made it. I feel like a completely different person.
Now I gotta interview you. How does it feel?
Surprisingly, I feel the same as I did a minute ago.
I feel lighter. Like, oh my God, I'm right next to wisdom right now.
2 years in my first apartment, right?
Woo!
Having 2 years of sobriety in my first apartment. I think the hardest of times in sobriety is when there's like this milestone. People are usually going through some shit when they're like about to hit a year, 18 months or whatever it is, and like I feel that way. I don't feel complete, but it's really cool that I've reached a milestone of like 2 years without any substances in my system.
Fuck yeah.
Any mind-altering substances, so it's really cool. But there's still work to do, you know, the work doesn't stop just because I hit 2 years.
Nope. Today's the first day of the rest of your life, baby. Let's go. More to come.
After almost a year of doing Fuck the Stigma, I still find talking to a camera intimately very difficult. So I've officially marked and hit the 2 years of sobriety, 2 years of attention to my mental health and my actual well-being. August 1st of 2021 is my sobriety date. These are my friends accompanying me today on my journey. Just two of them right now.
What do you mean we're only 2 friends? There's one over there.
This is Tristan, one of my bestest friends.
Hello.
You met me in the very beginning of my sobriety. What are the changes you've seen from the first year to the second year?
The second year, I think, has been filled with a lot more like gratitude and action. I don't know if that's, I mean, don't get me wrong, there are still days where you're blatantly not doing the gratitude and action thing, when you're like, fuck this, I don't want to do anything, but like, I feel that's life.
I don't want to get up and go to work. I don't want to get up and go see you or go to a meeting. Like, fuck that. I've had my moments of having absolutely no motivation to do the things, life things, adulting things. And that as well. I came in here not knowing how to do my laundry, how to cook for myself, how to communicate to people, really. I was a bar-tard, brain dead. I didn't even think I had original thoughts when I came in here.
But you've really come into your own, and I really respect, like, one of the biggest changes. I remember you used to be like, I don't understand why it matters to people how I type, how I speak, the words I use, if there's punctuation and things like that, and like, I think it can be really important. It's not about how we present to other people, it's about how we're presenting ourselves, how we're articulating ourselves, and the amount of effort that you've put in just to the way that you're able to communicate with other people with words that you never would have used a year ago, with complete sentences and punctuation, and like you're becoming like an adult human, and it's the cutest thing in the world because you're 20 years old and you have no rights being an adult at this point.
But yeah, even then, I'm grieving my old life. I'm grieving who I used to be. And that's a weird thing, that I'm grieving it. I'm judging what I'm grieving a little bit. I'm grieving being a lazy fuck and never doing anything with my life. Like now, like, I have responsibilities. It's a beautiful thing, but it's also a thing that I have to do. And it's hard for me sometimes. Sometimes I don't want to fucking do it. I really don't. The past few weeks I've felt, coming up on these 2 years, I felt really alone. And trust me, there's people around me. There's people I can reach out to, people I can call, people I can text. But I still felt alone. In a group of people feeling alone. Yeah, I got sober at the age of 18, and today I really want to be that inspiration for people, for young people to get sober. Like, it's possible, you can do it. Personally, I fucked up my life well enough. There was no other option. but for me to get sober. Like I was literally on the brink of death. That's the way my life was going.
I'm being honest, right?
Of course.
I really didn't give a shit because I didn't like you too much.
Why was that?
Okay, I'll change that. It's not that I didn't like you. I kind of dismissed you because you were so much younger than me. You know what I'm saying? So I just assumed that it was nothing we had in common. So I didn't really give myself an opportunity to get to know you. And now that I have done that, I've gotten to see you blossom into an amazing woman. You know what I'm saying? I got to see the actual effects of working a strong program, going through ups and downs, relationships and shit like that, and actually coming out on the other side of it and being more stronger. And now you like the little sister I never asked for.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's been kind of dope. I've gotten an opportunity to get a friend and another person to walk this path with.
The past 2 years have been really crazy for me. It hasn't been easy. My life is absolutely beautiful today. There's no denying that. But there was a lot of work that had to be put in, and a lot of persistence and persevering and willingness that like came along with that.
I got to see you become more willing to just accept that you was an addict and an alcoholic. I saw you go through that process.
I don't think I've ever shared my story one-on-one personally on Fuck the Stigma, and I kind of want to do a little bit of that today. My using didn't last as long as most people. Some people are out and about years upon years, and for me it was short-lived because that's how quickly I can fuck things up with the way I use and drink. My poison of choice was Xanax and alcohol. I think I chose those things because I was blacked out all the time. I love to be blacked out. I like to not know what happened yesterday. I like not to be here in the present moment. My dream was to disassociate all the time. When I was under the influence of Xanax and alcohol, something else possessed my body, and all of my actions, everything I said was not me. It wasn't Laisha anymore. I remember saying to people like, I'm sorry for whatever I said yesterday, but that wasn't me. Trust me, it wasn't me. Like, don't be mad at me. I was physically abusive, mentally abusive. I hurt people in my addiction without the intention. I didn't want to hurt you. It just happened, and I only thought my addiction was affecting me only. So yeah, I kind of started using when I was 14. Of course, when you start, it's all fun, shits and giggles. It's only fun. There's no real problems yet. There's no consequences. It started with smoking weed. Shortly after, I found alcohol. And mind you, I already had issues mentally and spiritually before I even picked up a drink or a drug. I suffered from depression and anxiety, and at the time I didn't know how to identify what depression or anxiety even was. It progressed really quickly for me. I remember I guess you could say what kind of set it off was a breakup, and the only way I knew how to feel better was drinking. So I'm like, guys, I remember only a few minutes after I was like, let's go get fucked up. And being young and dumb, I would always drive under the influence, and what kind of brought me to even get help in the first place was getting 3 DUIs. And today I'm beyond grateful for those 3 DUIs. Otherwise, I would have never found treatment, therapy, or the rooms, 12-step programs, and it saved my life. I came in to detox and residential without any intention of getting clean and sober. My addiction ended up turning into really just an everyday blackout for 2 years. 2 years of no memory, of having sex with people that I don't remember, saying things to people that I don't remember, hurting people, vandalism, robbing people, getting held at gunpoint. There was no beauty or I can't even glamorize it, you know what I mean? It was horrible. And I brought people down with me. Another thing I wanted to touch on a little bit was the seriousness and the severity of addiction. Yesterday was my best friend who passed away's birthday. And I can't believe I made it out and he didn't. I had a really, really good friend, a trudging buddy throughout the process of my addiction, and he was only out maybe 6 months after I got sober. He kept getting high, and I ended up getting sober. And this person used like I did, did what I did, and he passed away 6 months after I left. And even coping with that death in sobriety was heartbreaking. A friend that I met in 6th grade, innocent kids, meeting in 6th grade over a bag of popcorn. And he ended up dying from this disease, from addiction, from the chaos and the bullshit that comes with it. I've been in jails and institutions, and the last thing left for me was death. And death in itself is a weird concept, but like this disease of addiction is literally life or death. You have to grab this chance if you get it. You have to grab the chance. That moment of clarity that we rarely ever get, you have to fucking grab it. I miss him, and I think about him just about every day. But I know I can always talk to him, and I know we'll meet again. That's what I believe. I was surprised to find that I wanted to live when I actually had a clear mind. It was really hard for me to, even at the age of 18, to admit that I was an addict. To admit I had trauma. To admit I had mental health issues. To accept help, to ask for help. All of that was so hard for me.
I think the first year was chaotic as fuck because you were still trying to find yourself and you didn't know who you were or if you were an addict or if you wanted sobriety and what you wanted to do with your life.
One, I admitted I was an addict, and then I kind of went back on that a little bit. Like, yeah, you know what? I think I was actually just young and having going a little crazy. You know, kids, teenagers, young adults, they go out, get fucked up, and live happy, successful lives. But that's just the way I do it. It's just not the case for me. And having to look back at my experiences is something I have to do a lot. I can't forget where I was 2 years ago in a jail cell with my 3rd DUI, wanting to actually kill myself. I can't forget how I felt that day. I always have to remind myself of that because my disease, the disease of addiction, will tell me I don't have a problem, that I can use like anybody else. I look for outside solutions for internal problems, and these past 2 years I've actually been looking at my internal issues. I think I'm okay, more okay than before with living life. But in the 2nd year of sobriety, I had my first panic attack sober. Hyperventilating, crying, can't breathe, can't ask for help, can't communicate, panic attack. Sitting outside in the, it was dramatic. Sitting outside in the rain for 2 hours, what have I done? What am I doing? Just panicking, not knowing what to do whatsoever. That was me in sobriety. Almost 2 years of sobriety, having a panic attack sober, and having to process that, talk about that, admit that, as well as various spans of depression. Having to do the contrary action with that.
With your specific challenges and the things we've talked about, I can appreciate that when we do talk, you're honest. You know what I'm saying? You're very open-minded. I've gotten to see how, as you face those things, outside of your whatever negative emotions you might feel, you still push through. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that shows a lot of character. You know what I'm saying? That shows a lot of your growth. Especially because you're young, I know it probably bothered you or bothers you to get dismissed, because I'm pretty sure you do. But it showed me how my thinking of people was flawed. You know what I'm saying? Just because you're young don't mean you haven't had valid life experiences. So as a result of being friends with you, I've gotten to grow in my process a lot more as well.
And now I get to express myself creatively. Get all the chaos and jumbled upness in my mind out in the world and actually spread a message and hope and inspiration. Your struggle and your story is going to help somebody, truly. And a lot of my sobriety as well has been learning from other people's experiences, hearing other people's stories, actively listening, trying to get a new perspective on life, on things that I'm uninformed about maybe. There's been moments where I've prevented myself from feeling, and I don't realize I'm doing it. Wait, why am I trying to block this out? Why don't I want to open my heart and wear my heart on my sleeve and be vulnerable with this person? There's been growth with it definitely from when I first got here. I'm just trying. I'm trying. And actually somebody just recently told me there's no trying. You're either doing it or you're not. And I'm beyond grateful today to be able to share my story with somebody. The way I love myself looks different than it did 2 years ago. I don't even think I did have self-love. I tried my best to forget them, and there's no more forgetting. There's only being in the present now and actually facing things. That's a beautiful thing. Feeling is a beautiful thing that I've taken for granted my whole life. And it's really a beautiful thing to feel the good and the bad. You can't have, the good won't be as good if you don't have the bad. That's something I've learned. I really just, with Fuck the Stigma and with me even making this video, the whole point is to really show that, first of all, if I can do it, you can do it. This is where I got sober, up on this mountaintop. So this mountaintop holds a very special place in my heart. It's gorgeous. I found true peace of mind here. Yes, it was fleeting, but I found it. And yeah, this journey of like mental health recovery and substance abuse recovery has been completely worth it. But yeah, it's not an easy road, but I'm just gonna try my best and share my experience and my story and my journey and provide a platform for other people to share their experience on, so it can help somebody else. And I hope for those that keep up with Fuck the Stigma, thank you for being on this journey with me.